Well, I can tell this one's already better because it has the instrument separated, whereas the other one doesn't. I need this for notes. Alright, guys. What do you think we're going to learn about today? Gonna learn today! Okay, there we go. That will do. Let us begin. Oh shit, I'm gonna turn this up.
Storytelling really doesn't change. The principles that I outline in this video, they're gonna work 50 years from now, they're gonna work 500 years from now. So in this video, we're gonna learn some writing techniques from ancient storytellers because they are tried and true. Let's just get right into it because, you know, that's my style. And let's start with number one. Don't forget
Okay, don't forget Hamarita. Hamarsha? Don't forget Hamarsha. He got a haircut. Yeah, well, most of the videos are spread. Like this video, this is the newest video he just did, and it was 7 days ago. Most of the videos are between 3 to 9 months ago. So yeah, this is recent Bookfox.
hamartia. So hamartia was a term popularized by Aristotle, and it just means a fatal flaw in one of your characters. See, even 2,800 years ago, they still knew that you didn't want to marry Sue character. And for an example of a fatal flaw, let's look at a guy called Aeschylus, who wrote a play called The Persians about the Battle of Salamis. Now, if you watch the movie 300, Rise of an Empire, you are familiar with the Hollywoodized version of this battle. So the question is, what was Xerxes' hamartia? What was his fatal flaw? Now, we can debate about several of them, but I think it was his overconfidence.
Yeah.
He had the hubris to think that he could defeat the Greeks, and that led to his downfall and the loss of his entire navy. Now, what are some advanced ways that you can use hamartia in your own books? I'll suggest two. One is the false hamartia. This is where you present an obvious flaw that sort of masks the deeper secret flaw. For instance, in Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, we think that Gatsby's flaw is his criminality. He is trading in stolen securities, and he is bootlegging illegal liquor. But his deeper, true flaw is his inability to accept that the past cannot be recreated with Daisy. Another thing that you can try in your book is inverted hamartia. This is when a character attempts to avoid their perceived flaw, and that actually becomes the main flaw. In The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro, Stevens the butler has this crazy fear that he's gonna be unprofessional. And so in order to avoid that, he suppresses all of his personal feelings. But ironically enough, that leads to his greatest flaw, which is his inability to express love for Miss Kenton. And for more help on your writing, I would suggest that you join Bookfox Academy, where I have more than
I'm just thinking about this like from Husai's perspective, right? This fatal flaw for Husai is believing that he is not special. And an inverted flaw for him would be truth is an antidote to suffering. Yeah. But what's Husai's actual fatal flaw? I would say it's a commander who can't issue immediate... Okay, no, actually, I know a good one. He can't recover a plan. When a plan goes bad, Husai basically falls apart. But his plans basically never go bad. But when they start going bad, everything falls apart. Because the first time the plan goes bad is at Garuda. In the Battle of Garuda. And that kind of sets him in this... like, sets him up for the next part of the arc, which is him basically falling from grace because of Zayd. Ooh, I'm retarded, though. Hold on a sec. Give you guys something to So he can't recover from a plan that's failed. The time it takes for him to reorient causes the loss of the battle as the commander. And the inverted flaw is he plans so much so nothing can go wrong. But this makes it so when things do go wrong, they go wrong.
30 videos on all sorts of fictional topics to help you with your story. And it's kind of better than YouTube for 3 reasons. 1, I can provide support materials like PDFs and whatnot.
I definitely agree with that.
To help you absorb what you're learning. And 3, I have the space to really go deep on a topic.
True, but it costs money!
25 or 30 videos. Anyway, check the link in the description below.
When we run out of these, we might try
now,
it,
this
guys.
next piece of writing advice, which has really stood the test of time, is...
But the thing is... Like, would it be a dick move to, like, take the course and then do the course and then post the course as a video? I think that would be an absolute dick fucking move. And I wouldn't want to do that. Because that's basically taking his paid content and making it free. Yeah, like if I took his paid course and then made, like, YouTube videos about it so people could watch them for free, I think that would be just straight up a dick move. Massive dick move.
Number 2, every character needs metamorphosis. What is one of the foundational principles?
Now, taking his course and giving a review of the course as to whether it's worth it for the money or not, that's a completely different story. Or, like, showcasing during that review parts, like, and ideas from the course of how it works to give you an idea of it, right? Copyright infringement reproduction? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, that could straight up get you in trouble with YouTube. Not even, like, you know, him just being like, man, that guy's a dick, but it's, like, straight up copyright strike that shit, right? So, totally don't want to do that shit. But I would be interested in taking the courses and giving a review. But I already assume they're going to be amazing, because the videos are great. And if you think the videos are the gateway to the course has to be like 5 times better than the videos. And I trust him for that to be the fact, because his videos are very, very well structured, very well put together, and we have learned so much from them. So, you know, it just depends on how much it is, right? Because it could be the equivalent of college courses, right? Because he's a professor. So these literally could also be, like, if you're going to take, like, some sort of writing course, like, you would literally cover all of this in a paid course. So it'd probably be worth it better to take his course than do an actual course. And you might even get a certification at the end, because he is a professor. So it would probably have some grounding in, like, a scholastic structure, right? I could definitely see that being a thing, which gives more emphasis for you to want to do it, because it actually gives you some kind of credential at the end, right?
Of writing. It's that characters should change. And one of the earliest examples of where change is absolutely essential to the story is Ovid's Metamorphoses, where you see stuff like Daphne becoming a laurel tree to avoid Apollo, or Callisto becoming a bear after being seduced by Zeus. You might be wondering right now,
social
like,
proof.
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but how does this apply to me? So here are 2 ways that you can use it in your book. The first one is have metamorphosis be a literal plot point. I mean, think of Bram Stoker's Dracula, where people change into vampires. Or Kafka's Metamorphosis, where a guy wakes up and suddenly he's a giant beetle. Or think of the curious case of Benjamin Button, where an old man metamorphosizes into a child. Now, some of you are like, well, okay, John, but I'm not really writing in like a surreal or fantastical genre. Okay, that's fine. I think this applies to...
Okay, this character should change literal plot point is very, very interesting when placed in my story. Because to the outside world, it's literal to Husai being an octopi. And to Husai himself, it is literally he doesn't look like an octopi, he looks like some sort of other species. So this conflict of, like, views, his self-view versus the external view, is... It will change over the book as, like, things are discovered, right? It's not that characters will no longer see Husai as an octopi, but they were coming to understand that he is more than what he appears. And his size is not just an indicator of that. That his size is, like, the defining proof of that to them, essentially. And just, like, the way that he moves and everything is just so uncanny to them. But it's because it's their eyes trying to match some sort of, like, a mental block illusion that refuses to let them see him as a human. So I wonder how that would work as, like, a blocking point of literal change, where the characters mentally no longer see him as an octopi. And maybe we can even get to the point with the reveal of Gaia, where when the mental block falls, maybe that'll be a huge part. Alright, sounds good, Hybrid. Maybe that could be a huge part between Husai and Hildebrandt. To the, like, it's not just the metamorphosis of her envisioned, thought of what Husai is, this arrogant, asshole-ish old man trying to relive his life through the nostalgia of other adventurers, to the point of her seeing this broken, burdened, lone soul who has had no one he could ever basically rely on his entire life. And the shattering of that, and I want it to almost be like this shattering effect where everyone's view of Husai, because of this break of this mental block on Hildebrandt, is like another physical change of the entire book, where everyone now sees Husai as a human, and everyone's like just has to be like basically reintroduced to Husai, because it's just everyone's just like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden it's like now everyone's thinking about, oh, why is the planet called Gaia? Why can we all speak the same language? So it's like now that Husai has broken this barrier, everyone's minds have basically been opened to this premise. And this is becoming like an awakening for everyone. Ads! I think that would be a fucking badass way to go about it. Because then it literally completely changes everything. And not just for, like, landscape of, like, unlocking all of the sky cities. Burp. I mean, what? Oh, yeah, let's do this. Are you guys ready? Are you? Alright, we back. But again, you know. Breaking the fourth wall here, guys. There's a reason I only talk about, like, 3 characters. And I'm just gonna leave it up to you guys to understand why. I only talk about, like, these, like, 3 to 5 characters. Like, Husai, Gluttony, Varius, randomly Hildebrandt, Walker, and Yap, sometimes. But mainly, like... And then Zaid, the Monarch, and the Viceroy. And it's because I don't want to show you guys what the other fucking characters are. the Warriors of Light are in it. You know one simple thing about the Warriors of Light, and that's one of them doesn't talk. But that's the only thing you guys know about the Warriors of Light. And that's very purposeful. So if you ever think, why do I talk so much about those specific characters, is because I don't want to talk about the other characters. Because I don't want to spoil anything with them. But I want Husai and like the characters you meet in like the first chapter to be prominent characters in your mind before you even read the book, right? That's why I talk about them so much. I want you to feel for those characters to get into the book and then realize, oh shit.
You too. Look at Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This is a story about how immigrants, when they come to the United States, undergo a kind of metamorphosis as they adjust to this new living environment. And that brings me to my second point, which really is about thinking about metamorphosis as kind of a metaphor for character change. In Breaking Bad, we see a character change from a mild-mannered chemistry teacher to this meth kingpin. In The Godfather, we see this metamorphosis from mild-mannered son into this mafia overlord. Now, this next writing technique is probably my favorite one in this video. It is number 3. Exposing secret identities. So once again, we're drawing from Aristotle, and he is the guy who first named the technique of anagnorisis. This is basically when you have a character's true identity revealed. Now, I have to say right off the bat, that this implies that you've laid the foundation for some secret identities. You can't have identity reveals without first planning the secrecy. So a guy called Euripides wrote this play called Iphigenia in Tauris. In this play, Iphigenia was a high priestess who liked to capture Greeks and then sacrifice those prisoners to the gods. But one time, as she's preparing to sacrifice all these Greek strangers, she realizes, oh wait, one of them is my brother. Huge surprise, she had thought he was dead, and guess what? She didn't kill him. So let's look at 3 other examples of anagnorisis and stories and see what else we can learn about secret identities. Look at The Prince of Pride, where Buttercup realizes, oh, the Dread Pirate Roberts is actually my beloved Wesley. There's 2 things to learn from this. 1, a character deliberately keeping their identity secret
W
as a way to
Stream,
test
G the Machine, thank you, good sir. How are you doing? Welcome, welcome. We are doing ancient tips and tricks from, you know, stories that have withstood the test of time.
Character. And then 2, there is a perfectly written...
Oh, and then there's like the reveal of the Warriors of Light. Doing great, keep grinding, true. From low-level party initiates to basically gods. They're just so ridiculously, insanely more powerful than anyone else because of the multiplication of genetic engineering being directly tied to the monarch's bloodline, the technology of their weapons and armor, and then the magic infused in their technological weapons and armor, and then the knowledge of like ancient fighting styles and stuff like that, and like tactics and stuff like that. Advanced planning and thinking, and it's like, maybe even I might add, because we discussed this, the idea of AI being able to cast magic. And if AI could cast magic, it essentially would have almost an unlimited amount of mana. So we are playing with this possibility of the Warriors of Light going into this like almost like mech suit controlled by fucking AI thing where they just like, you know, it's like a self-defense thing where if they get attacked, they just automatically cast spells and shit like that. Automatically buffs everyone, keeps all the buffs up. It's basically like having a fucking bot do all of the casting for you. That's literally exactly what it is, though. So I wonder if that would be a way to go. Just to show the idea of like fucking, it almost seems like the Warriors of Light are hacking. I love that fucking idea. I mean, we're revealing Gaia as well, too. So there's the Gaia's reveal. So yeah, we got a lot of these things. I think we passed this one pretty well.
Reveal as he is rolling down that hill, yelling, "As you wish." Or think about the huge identity reveal in Star Wars when Luke Skywalker learns who his actual
The idea loves you. That's a great way of putting it, Blessed. That is a great way of putting it. I love that. Yes. The idea loves me so much that it'll never leave. That's how I come to like these like it could only be this way. And I think that's the best way that a story can be, is the story can only move in this direction. It can only go like this once you hit like that certain point, or these certain points, like that end of Act 1, the end of Act 2, and the end of Act 3. Fall of Garuda, Exile of Adventurers, Finding of Atomus, Lighting of Atomus, Fafnir being on their side, Confrontation of the Monarch, and Destruction of Everything, basically.
Darth Vader. What we can learn from this one is it's not only a recognition of who Darth Vader is, it's also Luke completely reevaluating who he is as a person. Try to make your characters realize that they were wrong about themselves.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Hosai is. But he just can't accept the fact that he is the chosen one, right? True, Levi. Bookfox, we're like looking foxy. Love it.
Or take Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, where we see Pip discover that his great benefactor is not Miss Havisham, as he thought all along, but actually Abel Magwitch, who is this convicted felon. This next ancient writing technique is probably the one that's mentioned most often in modern literary circles. It is number 4, in media res. And this just
okay.
Modern literary circles. It is number 4.
My one problem is he doesn't leave shit on screen long enough for me to see it or type it down.
In media res. And this just means, as you probably know, to start in the middle of things rather than starting at the beginning. And this comes from the second most famous Homer.
Well, I'm not sure.
No, the other one. Yeah, that's right. Who wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. In the Iliad, Homer starts in the 9th year of the Trojan War rather than in year 1, and then he shows us the past through dialogue and flashbacks. And the same thing with the Odyssey. It doesn't start at the beginning of the journey, it starts with Odysseus being held captive on an island. And then it backtracks and tells us how he got there. So if you choose to use in medias res, I want you to beware of these 3 things.
All right.
1, the fake action opening. This is sort of a cop-out where you know you're supposed to start close to the action, but you don't want to, so you end up faking it. The fake action opening is where you have a really dramatic scene, but then it's revealed, oh, it's just a movie set. Or you have a character speaking really important, powerful lines, and then you draw away, and they're just saying it to the mirror. A second thing to beware of is confusion.
Okay, we don't have anything like that. We do start with action, but it's literally a video. It's like the entire story starts off by watching a video. Which I think is just a very, very ironic way to start a book. Especially from the first person perspective. That it's like, when we're experiencing other characters as if it's almost omniscient third person, it's actually just because we're experiencing some sort of third party through Husai's eyes. Like, him watching a video, him looking into a camera, like, looking into a comm sphere and, like, basically having a video call with someone. And it's like, it gives me this opportunity to break away from the first person in a way that doesn't feel like I have broken away from first person. You're just now almost viewing it from, like, outside of Husai's head instead of inside of Husai's head. If that makes sense. Especially when it's like it's a recording that he, like, you know, gets enveloped in or something like that, right?
Confusion overload. If you drop your characters in the middle, you have to do twice as much work to make sure they're oriented in terms of time, in terms of place, and in terms of, like, what's happening. Because the great danger is, if you use in medias res, the reader is going to be frustrated and confused rather than being like, oh yay, straight to the action. And a third thing to watch out for would be a generic death or tragedy. When you start with characters who die that we don't know yet, there's not any sort of emotional attachment to those characters, so the reader's going to be like, eh.
Yeah, but you're not... The whole point of the emotional attachment is you're feeling Husai's attachment to them as they're being introduced. He's like, oh, it's what's-his-face. And then have some sort of moment about what's-his-face. Like, oh, it's Chalcom. Remember that time when me and Chalcom, you know? And it's like setting the stage that Husai used to be in command of these people. Like, Aetharg was not actually the leader of the troubadours. Husai was the leader of the troubadours. And Kashyyyk isn't a weapon that, that Aetharg has. It's actually Husai's weapon. His great sword is Kashyyyk. And you'll slowly reveal that, and it's like that's just more of the like New Game Plus kind of things where you can you're never gonna remember that name, but you're gonna have it in the back of your head like, I remember that from somewhere. Where the hell did that name come from? And I think that will build up more. But again, you're not really supposed to care for the characters' deaths off the bat. You're supposed to learn to care about them throughout the book, through the other characters, to kind of feel the impact throughout the book. If that makes sense. Again, that's if I can pull it off. But that's kind of how it's supposed to be, is like, they're brought up by other people, like, oh, these are the great deeds, this is the reason why this person's so powerful and amazing, you know? This was the incident that this character gained their title from, or something like that, right? So, we still are, like, we know there are complications with the beginning that we have. I guess that's the best way to say it.
Like, I don't care. You have to establish the reader's connection with a specific character before you do something that's going to move them emotionally. Now, here's a little quiz time for you. Do you know what the opposite of in medias res is? Because the Greeks were known for this technique. But the question is, what were the Romans known for?
Oh shit. Yes, I'm streaming late. Okay, Muffin, I wasn't sure because you weren't on, bro.
Technique called ab ovo, meaning from the egg. So hey, comment below. Are you more of a Greek storyteller or more of a Roman storyteller? There's not a right or wrong. It's just they're both good techniques to understand when you're trying to decide where to start your story. This next classic writing technique is a lot of fun. It is number 5.
Use dramatic irony. All right. Bye-bye, not be back. I'm trying to make you come back, Muffin. Okay? Don't question my tactics. I'm smart, okay? I'ma come in your back. God damn it, Muffin. Okay, let's think here. Dramatic irony. Would it be dramatic irony that every single adventurer thinks it's absolutely ridiculous that the Beastmen would ever fucking try to attack an adventurer city? That no matter how many numbers they had, they would never even get close to the walls? And then they get completely smashed, destroyed, and fucked up. Not even because they're arrogant and overconfident, it's because they were just absolutely not expecting what the fuck was coming at them. They could have never known. That might just be normal irony? Okay. Okay. So dramatic irony. Could it be the death of Zayd and the fact that the death of one of, like, an almost unimportant character in a way leads to such a massive reveal and like, I'm thinking of the word here, but like progression of the story. Because not only does it fuck with Husai, and it's like all about Husai's changing arc and falling from grace, it shows you the connection and how everyone views Husai. The people that actually care about him show up to comfort him, whereas the others basically talk behind his back. And it also reveals the Monarch and goes back to the very beginning of the story to find out who killed Torg. And who's been basically making sure that the 100-year quest is never completed. Because I'm not sure, like, would dramatic irony be the fact that Husai breaks down and tells Hildebrandt, and that causes this mental break in everyone to fall apart, her view of him to completely change, and it's all because he broke the one rule that he shouldn't have broken? And through breaking that rule, he literally unleashes his own potential. Because I think this one might just be going the fuck over my head. But I'm thinking it's more connected to characters than it is plot, right? If pure irony is plot-driven, dramatic irony would be character-driven. That would be my assumption here. Dramatic irony relies on the reader knowing something the characters don't. Think of how when Gilgas fights Kenpachi, the audience know Kenpachi still isn't fighting at full power because he's wearing his eye patch. Oh. So could dramatic irony then be Husai joining the battlefield? Because you think that, like, everything, like, they're fighting at full power, and then Husai joins the battlefield and is basically like Guts, just walking in there and annihilating everything, and you're just like, why the fuck isn't he fighting on the front lines? And it's like, well, commanders only fight when there's a threat that's equivalent of their stature, right? And this would be Husai going out to basically kill the enemy general. And he's looking down and he's like, alright, there's a chance that we're not actually going to win this. I'm going in. That sounds like the character knowing something the readers don't. But would that work in the same way, Levi? Because I'm just thinking about it as character-driven. Could it work the other way around? I like to be as, you know, fucked up as possible and push the boundaries of whatever I can. So I like to see, like, how can I manipulate this understanding of, or I should say, misallocation or whatever of information, you know? Just a good thought experiment there. Other than that, something that the reader knows. This one's a little bit trickier because it's pushing the boundaries, but it falls along the same line. So would the dramatic irony be, my brain and belly hurt, I'm leaving, I will return, I'll try to return. No worries, Blessed, take care of yourself, man. Don't feel obligated to stick around, brother. If you ain't feeling it, you ain't feeling it, man. I wish you luck, good sir. I hope you feel better. The fact that pretty much the reader should know that Husai's human. Husai knows that he's human, but the other characters don't know that he's human. So it's like Husai and the reader share this knowledge that the rest of the characters don't share. But I think I've pretty much used up all of my thought process on this. So let's go back to the video and see how close these are.
Dramatic irony. Dramatic irony is simply when the reader knows something that the character doesn't. And a great example of this would be Sophocles' play Oedipus Rex. And yeah, this is where Freud got that Oedipus complex. So it's predicted that a child will grow up to kill his father and marry his mother. His parents ship him away to a distant land so the prophecy isn't fulfilled, but lo and behold, he comes back, kills his father, marries his mom. Eesh, 0 stars, would not recommend. And then he ends up pursuing the murderer of his father without knowing that it's him. So the audience knows all along, like, oh, Oedipus, gross, dude, super cringe. So what is the tension in that story? The tension in the story is we are just waiting, okay, when is Oedipus gonna find out? Because we want to see that reaction. Now, when you use dramatic irony, you absolutely need to abide by these 3 rules. 1, don't make characters unreasonably stupid. The reader shouldn't feel as though the character should have figured it out like eons ago, right? The character should feel smart and figure it out at the appropriate time. You don't want dumb characters. 2, you want your character...
What is something that Husai learns? Could this be a problem with perspective, Levi? That it's really hard for Husai not to know something that the reader does because you're inside of Husai's mind. The only time this ever works in the story is at the very beginning, when the first scene is the actual scene of the monarch killing Torg, and then Husai watching... Yeah, first person would make dramatic irony more difficult. So I think the only point that it could ever be is at the very beginning of the story, when you, the reader, know that Torg is going to die, once you've introduced Torg, and Husai's there, so the reader is just waiting for the moment that Torg is going to die. And you can tell from the way that Husai is acting that he knows that Torg is dead and this is the future. So all we're waiting for is when Husai finds out how Torg died. I think that might be the only point in the story where it's true dramatic irony, but it's not very powerful because it just happens so fast. But make characters do the worst because of do the worst things because of what they don't know.
To do the
Only thing I think about this is, like, the reader doesn't know either, but, like, what should Husai do? What do you do in this position where you don't know if you're being warned or you're being threatened? And there's no one you can turn to. Do you risk it?
absolute worst thing because of what they don't know. When using dramatic irony, it's best if they're not making choices that they know are wrong, because then that's just an ethical flaw. Instead, it's more of a lack of knowledge that's their problem. And the third rule is follow your genre's conventions. So horror and thriller readers might expect completely different dramatic irony than, say, literary fiction readers. In horror, we might know that the killer's inside the house, but the character doesn't know. While in literary fiction, we might know that the character's self-perception is skewed in some way. They can't see themselves the way that others see them. This next age-old writing technique is an oldie but a goodie. It is number 6, reversal of fortune. Reversal of fortune is actually a really simple idea. It's just when a character is winning and then suddenly losing. And if you want to know the technical Greek term, it is peripeteia. And yeah, it's been around since like 300 AD. And for this one, we're going to look at a really simple example taken from Aesop's fables. Remember the tortoise and the hare and the race between the two of them? The hare races ahead, falls asleep because he's like, I've got so much time. But the tortoise, slow and steady, ends up winning the race. That's a reversal of fortune. Hare thought he was winning. Oh, surprise? No, the tortoise beat you out. And let's look at some modern examples as well. In Ernest Hemingway's Old Man of the Sea, you have Santiago finally
spoilers!
That big marlin. He finally succeeds, and then the sharks come. His greatest triumph immediately reverses into this horrific situation. Or look at a movie like The Big Short. During the 2008 financial crisis, Michael Burry and others go from being laughing stocks to billionaires, while a lot of really established corporations and Wall Street firms, they end up collapsing. I will say that you can approach this reversal of fortune using one of two techniques. One is that you can tip them off that this reversal of fortune is coming. This is the technique of anticipation. So you make the reader look forward to what's about to happen. And the second choice, which is equally
I think the anticipation of that, like tipping them off for the reversal of fortune, is like in chapter 2 during the inauguration, like the political turmoil. Everything's going fine. Everything's going great. No one has any problems. And then the new viceroy gets up there. And oh my God, you thought Donald Trump was bad. Fuck, man. Viceroy's like, yeah, some of those beastmen, right? Yeah, they're gonna be adventurers and they're gonna be allowed in the tree. What do you guys think about that? Yeah! Everyone fucking riots the fuck out. They're like, the fuck? No way this shit fucking happening.
is valid, is just to blindside them with it.
And that kind of like, that's also a foreshadowing for like how the mob reacts towards Zayd at the exile of the tree. And like how crazy people can get inside of the tree over just seemingly the simplest things. But it's about the perspective that people have towards their class and their status. And they're basically being told that, oh yeah, you guys are so fucked that you're the same as beastmen. People are like, you're basically calling us animals. People not having any of that shit. But then again, the people are super ignorant about beastmen anyways.
And this is the technique of...
So it's not like it's more like calling them children than it is animals. And they kind of are like children. So the Viceroy has his own points in there.
Prize, which works perfectly well. Now for this last writing technique that has stood the test of time, we're looking at number 7. The 3 unities of storytelling. Now, the 3 unities of storytelling originally came from Aristotle, but then it was sort of codified in 16th century Italy, but, you know, we're still gonna say it counts. The 3 unities are a unity of action, which means a story should have one principal action, unity of time, which says that a story should take place over a 24-hour period, and unity of place, which says that a story should take place in a single location. Now, some of you are scratching.
Fuck ads. Yeah, I'm like, These sound a bit weird, but I'm listening. Hey, I'm listening, right? Not knocking it. I'm just listening. Oh shit, I gotta grind more. I'm just completely unprepared for this. My bad. We back, but I'm still not ready yet. So yeah, I'm a little bit confused. Unity of time, unity of place, unity of action. A single place, a single 24 hours, a single... I think this just means, like my guess here is this just means, like maybe metaphorically, in the sense that it doesn't feel like you're jumping all over the place, but I have no idea where this could possibly be going. You pick one that helps keep the story followable. Is this like a progression? Like if you have an action, that action should take place within a time frame, and that action should take place in a single place. Is that kind of what it is? For any action taken, it shouldn't like spill over into other things, because then it becomes confusing.
Principal action. Unity of time, which says that a story should take place over a 24-hour period. And unity of place, which says that a story should take place in a single location. Now, some of you are scratching your heads right now like, I don't know about that place and time one. And you got to remember that these rules were written for plays. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense if you're having a play, because that means you don't have to change a whole bunch of sets and you can keep all the action in one particular time period. Yeah, I totally get that. But for novelists, I think those two are a lot less helpful. But I do think the first one, unity of action, is still a helpful principle for novelists. It's good because it's a rule of simplicity, where you can minimize a lot of subplots and a lot of diverging storylines and just concentrate on the one storyline that actually matters. If you think back to Sophocles and Oedipus Rex, there is no part of that story that can be taken out and the story would still work. No, it would all collapse like a house of cards or like a Jenga tower. I do think that the shorter a piece is, the more it needs to have.
This guy stopped talking? True, Blessed. True.
A unity of action. While if you have a big sprawling novel that's 200,000 words long, then okay, like the reader's gonna forgive you for a few digressions because maybe it's really interesting, your digressions and your subplots. So look at the length of your piece and determine, can I get away with stepping away from the main action, or should I really stick to the main task? Okay, click the link below to join my Bookfox Academy, and I hope all of these ageless writing techniques serve you well in your work in progress.
True. Alright guys, that is Bookfox. That's another video down! Go give him some love, give him a like, give him a subscribe. All that good stuff.